Jacqueline, the Dusty Baker, and behind the camera we have
Tamisha.
Hi, Tamisha.
Hey, Jacqueline.
So welcome to my little New York City kitchen. Today we are going to make beer brownies. What? Yeah, beer brownies. So these are our gluten-free beer brownies. So what we've got involved in these, we are using 1 stick of unsalted butter, 10 tablespoons of cocoa. Now this is the first step, so we're going to go right into it. What we're going to do is melt this butter on the stove. Now with brownies, you can use chocolate. A lot of people just melt chocolate. Because when I first made these, I was at my sister's apartment. I was like, well, let me just see what I can make. I went into the cabinet. They had cocoa powder. I always have cocoa powder. They had Bob's Red Mill gluten-free all-purpose flour, so I used that. They had butter. And so that's why this is if you bake enough and you've got stuff in your cabinet, you can make brownies. So I'm melting that stick of butter. And to that, once it's melted, I'm going to add my cocoa. So while that's melting, my dry ingredients here, I have 1 cup of all-purpose gluten-free flour. Like I said, I used Bob's Red Mill before. Today, I'm using my standard mix, so that's 1/2 cup of brown rice flour. I'm using 1/4 cup of quinoa flour. With chocolate recipes, you can be a little bit more experimentative. You can be a little bit more experimentative with your flours. You can use things that have a little bit more taste to them because the chocolate is sort of going to mask things. So quinoa's got a lot of protein, so I'm a big fan of quinoa flour. So I've got 1/4 cup of quinoa flour, and then I've got 1/4 cup of arrowroot starch. That's my starch. I also have 1/2 teaspoon of xanthan gum. That's my binder. And I have 1/4 teaspoon of salt. So that's in there already. Now to spice things up a bit, I'm going to add a tablespoon of mesquite flour. This is completely optional, but once you've been baking gluten-free for a while and you get either bored or you get weirdly obsessive with all the flours out there in the world, mesquite flour to me is a really fun one. For anything with ginger, for anything with molasses, for anything with chocolate, you can add just a tiny bit, and it's naturally smoky and naturally already sort of sweet. Sort of chocolatey and caramelly. So I'm adding a tablespoon in there just because it's going to give us a little bit more dimension in our flours. So that's our flour blend. Those are our dry ingredients. My oven is preheated to 350 degrees. I always forget to say that in the beginning. 350 degrees. And I've got an 8-inch square pan buttered already. So right now over here my butter is melted. And I'm just going to whisk in my 10 tablespoons of cocoa powder. This is just Ghirardelli unsweetened cocoa powder.
That smells good.
Yeah. So basically what we're doing, adding, chocolate is sugar and fat, cocoa butter, or whatever, or depending on milk chocolate, milk or butter. So basically we're just making chocolate. So now my chocolate is melted into my standing mixer or into a bowl with your hand mixer. I'm going to put 2 eggs. Yes, I know you're supposed to crack your eggs into a bowl before putting them in there, but worst case scenario, you dig them out. Your fingers are clean. Ah, look at that. No shells.
Nice.
So in there, I have my 2 eggs. Then for my sugar, because we need the chocolate to be sweet, I have 3/4 cup of white sugar. I'm using just pure organic cane sugar. And 1/4 cup of brown sugar. I'm using dark brown sugar. Use light brown sugar. Doesn't matter. So I'm going to cream those together. Now while those are creaming, let's get to the fun part. So I'm using 1/2 cup of gluten-free beer. And the best thing is, you only need 1/2 cup for the recipe, and then you have this entire big beer left. So Tamisha, I know it's only 12:30 on a Wednesday
what are you talking about?
in New York City.
Okay,
But there you go, girl. Very frothy. Slancha. Foamy.
And good.
Good foam.
And nice. It's kind of cold. Very nice.
I like it. So into my mixer is going the 1/2 cup of gluten-free beer. And so see, this is going to get nice and frothy. And because we're using beer, we don't need to use any baking powder or baking soda. It's going to give us the lift in the brownies that we want. I'm going to slow this down a tiny bit. Now this is where it gets funny with the camera because I'm left-handed, so I gotta flip things around a little bit so you can see. So now I'm just gonna pour my chocolate right in. And now I can take my whisked ingredients, or whisked, forked, whatever ingredients, and I'm just gonna dump them in. So that all goes in their square bowls, really. Now that's not gonna splatter, I can turn it up a little bit. Let's stop it once. Now you can add, if you want, you can add nuts at this point. So now this goes right into our buttered 8-inch square pan. So see, perfect. These go right into our preheated oven. I'm actually gonna put them in the middle at 350 degrees. And this is going to take about 25 minutes. So I'm gonna clean up and we'll be right back. So my brownies went into the oven for 25 minutes. They came out of the oven. I cooled them in the pan for about 10 minutes. These brownies actually don't take as long as other brownies to cool. And here they are. So Tamisha, you wanna try brownie?
Do I? Absolutely. With the beer.
Absolutely. With the beer.
Yes, yes, yes.
Beer brownie. So ready? You got it?
Nice. You guys want some? Yummy, yummy. Okay.
So you're not gonna taste beer so much as it's gonna be a slightly darker brownie, and I'm gonna eat it. But the brownie is what gives it that lift, that nice texture. They're really easy to cut. They're pretty heavy. They're dense. And not too sweet, and nice and dark. This is my favorite brownie recipe. It's just completely killed all other brownie recipes. What do you think, Tamisha?
It's good. It's delicious.
Awesome. So, I'm Jacqueline the Dusty Baker, wishing you peace, joy, and a sweet, sweet chocolatey life.